Hey there, I'm Dustin with A Simple Dollar. So credit cards versus debit cards, is there really a difference? Which one should you be using online? That's what we're going to cover in today's video. If you're new to the channel, welcome to The Simple Dollar. We make videos on personal finance, so if you're interested in that kind of thing, make sure you drop down and hit the subscribe button so you don't miss future videos. We also put a lot of really good information down in the description below, so check that out as well. So the short answer is yes, there is a difference between credit and debit cards. While the cards may look very similar, the way they function and the way the transactions process is actually pretty different. So when you use a debit card, it's kind of like using a check. The transaction, when you buy something, posts directly against your bank account and the money comes out of your account immediately. You contrast that with a credit card. So when you open up a credit card, you're actually taking out a line of credit with a bank. So when you buy something with a credit card, you're actually borrowing money from the bank. You're using the bank's money to buy that item with the promise that you're going to pay the bank back. By adding the bank into the middle of that transaction, you're adding a third party which acts as a layer of protection. So if someone steals your credit card information, they're not really stealing something that has direct access to your bank account and your money. Now, credit cards often get a bad rap because a lot of people use them irresponsibly, rack up high rates of debt, and interest rates on credit cards are usually really high. But if you use credit cards responsibly, they can be a really valuable tool in your financial arsenal. You can avoid interest charges on credit cards by paying off the statement balance in full every month. And we'll leave a link in the description below to thesimpledollar.com where you can see some of our favorite credit cards available right now. I personally use a credit card for every transaction that I make online, and there's really four main reasons why I do. The first one is most credit cards offer zero fraud liability. So that means when you use a credit card online, like I said, you're adding the bank in there as a layer of protection. And if there's a fraudulent charge on your credit card, you have no liability, assuming that you report that transaction in a timely manner. Unfortunately, you often don't have the same protections when you're using a debit card. The second reason is federal protections are far greater when using a credit card versus a debit card. With the passage of the Fair Credit Billing Act, your personal liability on a fraudulent charge on a credit card is maxed out at $50, assuming that you report that transaction within 60 days. That goes for both in-person and online transactions. Like I said, most credit card companies go a step further and offer zero fraud liability. You contrast that with debit cards, and the federal maximum liability on debit cards is $500, assuming that you don't catch the transaction within 2 business days. It's important to know that if you go 60 days without reporting the fraud, there's a good chance you're going to be on the hook for the full amount. The third reason I like to use credit cards is for the ability to either dispute or charge back a charge. So let's just say, for example, that you buy something online, and when the package comes in, it's either damaged or they sent you the wrong item. The first thing you're probably going to do is contact that retailer and say, hey, I got the wrong thing. And maybe the retailer doesn't want to work with you and doesn't either give you a refund or send you a replacement item. If you used a credit card to make that purchase, you can contact your credit card issuer and dispute that charge. The credit card company is then going to investigate that charge, and the onus is really going to be on the retailer to prove that they provided the good or service that they said they were going to provide. Now, it's a whole different story if you're talking about a purchase made with a debit card. With a debit card, remember, your money has already left your account, so you're really fighting trying to get your money back, and the onus is really going to be on you. You're going to have the burden to prove that they didn't fulfill their end of the obligation. So in theory, you have a lot more leverage over the retailer if you're withholding funds as opposed to trying to get your money back. The fourth reason why I like to use credit cards over debit cards is credit cards actually help build your credit history over time. So even if you're buying the same items, spending the same dollar amounts, just by using a credit card versus a debit card, it helps increase your credit score. Even if you pay the balance off in full every month, you're still borrowing money from the bank to make those transactions. This demonstrates good borrowing behavior, and building good credit is very important for your finances in the future if you ever need to borrow money for like buying a house or buying a car. We'll leave a link in the description below with more information on how to build your credit score. If you're using debit cards to make the same purchases, it does not impact your credit score either positively or negatively. A few additional things to consider is it's very important to pay your statement balance off in full. Interest rates on credit cards are some of the highest on any financial products in the industry, and so they can really set you back in your finances if you're paying interest on credit card balances. It's best to shop online with websites that have added security features, especially like if the URL starts with HTTPS. Try to avoid unprofessional websites. If you find something in a Google search, or maybe you find something on social media that links to a website that looks a little sketchy and maybe has a deal that's too good to be true, it probably is a scam. It's best to monitor activity on your credit cards at least a couple times a week. Not only will that help you find any fraudulent charges, it's also going to help you track and monitor your spending. While the thought of using credit cards can be scary for some, they can really be valuable financial tools if used responsibly. So let me know in the comments down below, do you prefer using credit cards or debit cards? If you enjoyed this video, we'd really appreciate it if you drop down and hit the like button. As always, remember, drop down in the description. We have a lot of valuable resources down there. And for the Simple Dollar, my name is Dustin. I look forward to talking to you soon.